Guys, is this thing on?
Oh, shut up. Whatever.
Presenting the Dead Eye Overshare podcast.
What the fuck is up, besties? It is your host, Zoe, and I'm back with another freaking episode on the Dead Eye Overshare podcast today. So happy to be talking to you guys right now. I was having, mic issues last week. I think it was headphone issues, not mic, but the same thing. I really couldn't figure it out until I did today. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I can't hear myself. The computer can't hear me. Whatever. I'm going to send it to my email, see if it works. It's working. So I think it was like a fluke and I just didn't know what the fuck to do. But I was very active on social media last week. One of my videos did kind of go crazy. And that made me so excited. Tickled my heart. And what that video is about is also what today's episode's about. Okay. And it is how stress kills Black women. All right. Stress kills women, period. But the stress that kills Black women is insanely different and complex in so many different ways. And so I'll be getting into the spiritual aspect of it, the history part of it, like slavery, mental, psychological, and like stuff like that also like relates to it, right? So getting started, stress is not just mental. Like I feel like we don't really understand that. A lot of times it's physical, all the sorts, all of it. Chronic stress activates the hypothalamic, pituitary adrenal gland. I looked that up because I wanted to know what it directly hits, which is kind of like, I don't think it's the thyroid, but I think it's like by it, whatever. But like it's where you get cortisol. And I know we probably all heard a lot about cortisol within like the past year within social media because it's been kind of big. But long-term exposure of this increased cortisol increases the risk of heart disease, hypertension, diabetes, inflammatory diseases, and of course, depression and anxiety. And Black women have the highest rate of stress-related issues, all right? Especially high blood pressure and heart disease, which I know personally from my family. A lot of people in my family have high blood pressure, and then like my granny personally, there's something wrong with her heart. So yeah, it's not really like when I get into this, it's not simply, I'm not saying, oh, Black women are just overwhelmed, right? It's quite literally the cells in our body, our hearts, our nervous system. Stress doesn't just kill, it wears you down. Like, like what the fuck? It's a long time effect because it's usually very slow. Honestly, it's usually very slow and gradual. But I don't know if you've heard it, like when most people talk about a Black woman, oh, she's a superwoman. She's superwoman, right? That's a strong Black woman. It's always a strong Black woman. Why is that? Why is that? That's always the saying. That's a strong Black woman. There's like an expectation Black women are supposed to have, which is to suppress their emotions, always endure, keep the family going, keep it together, be unbreakable, which leads to, of course, chronic suppression, with suppression of sadness, anger, trauma, any of that also stresses your body out. Like it literally kills us. And suppression can also lead to poor sleep, chronic inflammation, and just your body breaking down on you overall. And to tie my granny into this again, like all of them actually, they don't fucking sleep. They don't sleep at all. Like I remember it was, I think it was a holiday. All the kids were over and I came down at like 4 a.m. We're all still up and they're all just up playing spades. All just up still cooking. And I'm just like, why the fuck are y'all up? Go to bed. And then it's like, if they are asleep, the second I go downstairs and open the bathroom door, it's eyes wide open. You okay? Girl, take a nap. Go to bed. Your body deserves rest. They could watch 20 damn kids a day and still be awake. And I'm just like, babe, this is not good for you, please. But very stubborn woman. But yeah, so Black women were mainly taught to survive, right? This is where a lot of this stems from. Nobody ever taught Black women how to feel. There was always way too much going on for that to be prioritized. But Black women are nearly twice as likely to experience heart disease compared to white women, if you didn't know. Emotional stress is a key predictor of cardiovascular disease, which I looked up, especially when it is paired with like systemic racism, which they face every single day in this world, gender expectations within the household, and without in the actual real world, and most of it is unprocessed trauma. Okay, there is so much trauma and suppression within a Black household. All right, and like something I could point out, like let's say your cousin was assaulted when she was little. Sorry to bring it up, but let's say your cousin was assaulted. and it was the uncle or somebody like that. You could bring that up and it's going to be like, he would never. He would never. Quit being fast. He would never. It's very suppressed. Nobody talks about real issues that happen in a household, or how stressed out you are, or how these drug issues and alcohol issues are really affecting the family, right? And how they're affecting your health personally, and how it's killing you because nobody will speak up. Nobody says anything. So all we sit here and we just endure, and like that's fucking it, okay? Stress doesn't just sit in the mind, it sits in the heart. It literally is breaking your heart. Trauma, especially racial trauma, it is passed down epigenetically, right? So which means not only is stress in the family, it is dead ass in your DNA. Tying back to slavery, Black people have been they have been under so much stress for decades, centuries, however the fuck long, so fucking long, so damn long. And it's still ongoing to this day. It quite literally changes your DNA, and then your grandkids get it, and then your son gets it. It just keeps going and going. So it truly is in you. It's in you. The stress is built in you. So you have to figure out how to break this cycle or heal, finally heal. Allow yourself to heal, Stress responses are heightened across generations, of course. But the cortisol levels within each of us is going to be different based on the ancestral trauma within each of us. So the stress isn't only yours. It's your grandmother's too. It's your grandmother's too. Quit. You don't need to be silent for her. You don't need to be silent for yourself. Speak up and take control of your feelings. And when work is feeling too hard and you just really need a break, because they're going to overwork you, they're not going to respect that. That's different. And then when you go to the doctor and you talk to them, they're probably going to push you to the side. That's what happened to me. They're going to push you to the damn side, right? So you need to learn now before we get to a point where we are 60 years old and so on and so forth, where it's not irreversible, dare I say. It's just way harder to get out. Our body has been susceptible to it for years at this point, right? And microaggressions and racism constantly affect daily stress, right? It triggers the fight or flight responses, which also increase blood pressure and cortisol. And the term weathering, right? It is described how chronic exposure to racism accelerates aging and disease in Black women. And that has also been a thing for years, It's a daily thing that you experience when you go to the grocery store, when you get the car, looks, working in retail, so many different things. Tell me why, to get off topic, I had this fucking lady. I was so pissed this day, actually. It was just not a good day. I was already irritated. And then, she couldn't find her card. We didn't really speak. But then she couldn't find her freaking Ulta card. So I was like, oh, it's right there. She was like, you know what? You're such a good girl. You do your work so good. And I was like, excuse me? What? And then, apparently, at the end, I was going too fast. And she was like, you people just move so fast. Excuse me? If I spit on you, what? Excuse me? I was so irritated. And I just feel like that was a little tidbit I forgot in the back of my head that happened 2 weeks ago. And I'm pissed off all over again because what the fuck was that? What the fuck was that? Anyway, healing just requires way more, and it's fucking hard as hell. All right? Because you have to now sit with all of these emotions that you just suppressed for years. You have to sit with all these feelings that you pushed to the side because you didn't have time or didn't want to deal with them, right? In therapy, a lot of us do know how therapy is viewed in Black household, though nowadays, as we get older and as generations change, it's becoming more widely accepted. Get your ass in therapy if you can, all right? Michi's in therapy, and that has worked wonders for him. He has uncovered so much about himself. I am in therapy. I love a good therapy session, all right? Somatic practices like breathwork, yoga, and journaling, stuff like that. And find community. You're not alone in this. You're not the only person who deals with this or feels this. There's so many other people who are constantly going through this that look exactly like you. find community, find those friends, find people you can relate to and that can understand you. Okay. But back to, like I said, now I'm going to connect it to slavery, right? And why is stress so high from that point? Why is it so stressed in? Like, why is it so big in generations now? What happened? What really happened? What did we not learn in school? Okay. Enslaved Africans were subjected to prolonged, extreme psychological and physical stress, which is violence, loss of agency, separation from children, rape, overwork, starvation, surveillance, and so many more fucking things that they just didn't teach us in school. So you really have to do your own research on how disgusting it gets. But being under these conditions, as any human possibly would deal with, you get that fight or flight response, right? Which increases your cortisol and adrenaline level. So you're always on the run. You're always fighting. You're always weary. Which is why sometimes when we catch ourselves and we're like, oh, why do I automatically know this? Like when we hear a sound, we don't get up and go investigate that shit, right? Or like we just stay quiet, relax, fight or flight. You're constantly guarded. You're constantly guarded. You're constantly ready for something, always. And it's simply because our ancestors went through that, all right? And chronic stress alters the body's system, including the immune system, the reproductive system. A lot of people are infertile simply because of this or have PCOS, endometriosis, so many things like that. And it's simply because there's so much stress, sexual trauma, stress period, and stress from your grandmothers in the past that you hold in your womb, that you need to release and heal and figure out and uncover, right? And these changes just don't disappear. They can become biological patterns, like I said, passed on epigenetically, right? The bodies carry a lot, okay? But if you don't know what epigenetics is, let me get into that. Epigenetics studies how trauma and stress can modify gene expression without totally changing the DNA, right? It's more of so how we act, our behaviors and stuff like that. And like here, hold on, no. I'm skipping that note that I made. For Black Americans, the transatlantic slave trade, systemic violence, and continued racism created multi-generational trauma that affects how the body regulates stress, releases stress, which is a key factor in all of these diseases, right? It's not what we eat or how we live. It's what we've been through even before we were born, what we still carry with us. And here is some modern diseases with roots in historical trauma, like hypertension. If you don't know what that is, it's high blood pressure. And Black Americans have the highest rates in the world, high blood pressure. Chronic stress from slavery, segregation, and systemic racism have created a hypertensive stress response. Studies show Black Americans release more stress hormones in response to discrimination than other groups. And I also learned this in class, which I'm also reading my notes from. I had a class where I learned some stuff about this, and I was just like, oh, damn. And it made me want to look on it more, right? Number 2, diabetes and obesity, autoimmune diseases like lupus and, stuff like that. Heart diseases and stroke, which is, like I said, the number 1 killer. And then maternal mortality, right? Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die during childbirth. Chronic stress affects blood pressure, immunity, inflammatory responses during pregnancy. Slavery also dehumanized Black women's reproductive systems. And today, medical racism continues that legacy, right? Ultimately, multiple people, we can see what just fucking happened in Georgia. We can see what happened in Georgia. They had a deceased woman carry a baby full term, no consent from her or her family. And if the baby could have lived on its own, right? If the baby was perfectly fine in her body, why they have to deliver it 3 months early? Why is the baby 1 pound on life support? Oh, because you shouldn't have been doing that shit anyway. But okay, use another Black woman's body as what? Science. Science, because we know what happened with them cancer cells. Okay. But yeah. And also the last part I want to relate this to is hoodoo. Honestly, Black healing. Hoodoo is a spiritual response to suffering, which always confuses me why some people demonize it so bad. Because it's literally how your ancestors healed. It's how they fought and how they kept their pride. And a lot of it was used with the Bible, so that it's not two separate things, right? It's not just magic. it's medicine ultimately. Like if you go to the root work of it, the herb, like the herbalist side of it, that's why I love herbs so much. That's why I love working with them, because it's like, damn. And I really learned it after I was going to the doctor and she just told me I had diabetes like 4 times, and then I came back and I'm like, girl, it's a hormone problem. I know, because it's happening at the same fucking time. And then I started taking Chasteberry. That's how I say it. Immediately fixed. Problem immediately fixed. I think it took about 2 weeks and never deal with it again. Okay? Born out of the brutality of slavery, hoodoo was created as a way to reclaim autonomy over the mind, body, and spirit when the world tried to strip all of that away, okay? But during slavery, enslaved Africans used herbs, roots, and rituals to treat illness, protect themselves from physical and spiritual harm, and connect to their ancestors as well. These practices were also hidden in plain sight, disguised as Christianity or folklore, but they were sacred systems of resistance. When enslaved people had no access to doctors, hoodoo was the doctor. Those herbs were the doctor. That magic was the doctor. Okay? I'm just going to give some herbs that they use for high blood pressure and stress: rosemary, eucalyptus, and hyssop. That's how I say it. I know it's probably not right, but that's how I say it. Emotional suppression and grief, copal, blue vervain, heartbreak and trauma, rose, dahlia, and cinnamon, protection. Black salt, dragon's blood, red brick dust, which we all know. But yeah, hoodoo kept Black people alive when Western medicine failed us, and it still does to this day. It can offer a deep emotional, physical, and spiritual healing, especially for Black women. When emotions are suppressed, the spirit gets blocked, and that's where hoodoo steps in. It's very energetic when it comes to that, whether it be ancestral veneration, cleansing rituals, or root work, right? Overall, this all connects to each other. And honestly, that's what I have for the episode. And my last thing I wanted to say was definitely look more into it. Look on how it's affecting you personally, because when my video did kind of go crazy, so many people had like strokes at just 20. So many people were having strokes at 20. That is insane. Insane. Please, please take the time now. Reclaim yourself. Reclaim your life, especially if you plan on having children. Even if you don't, you deserve that grace. And please know this is a long, hard cycle. It is not an easy thing. Remember, you are healing yourself and generations before you. All right? Trust your body. Your body knows what to do. Trust in God. Trust your ancestors. Trust whoever you need to trust. But you will be better. Do not kill yourself simply because you're always fighting, or it's just like a safety hack. Fight for yourself. Do it. Please. And I'm telling you this now because I do not want you to die. All right? I don't want you to have a horrible life because all this built up pain and stuff that you just suppressed since you were a little girl or a little boy. Fight. Please. Please do your research. Look into it. Ask questions. Books are my favorite go-to. I love a damn book that explores all of this and, really teaches you what's going on. But yeah, that was today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was something kind of new. But yeah, I'm trying to pick a new day to post every week because I really like when it's consistent, and I want to keep it at a certain day. It's just my schedule's always fucking changing, so I really have to just look at that. So for now, it's gonna be still once a week. But let me look on that, and I'm gonna keep you guys updated. Make sure to follow Did I Overshare on Instagram and TikTok, and I also frequently post on YouTube every single day, all the same videos. Leave me an email at Did I Overshare Podcast if you have any questions or anything like that. DMs are always open. And yeah, if you liked this episode or like my podcast, leave a 5-star rating. It really, really helps me. And a review. I have no reviews at the moment. Leave me a good review, please. I love you guys so much, and I hope you guys have a blessed week.